In April 2018, the British Ministry of Defence quietly published a document, 96 pages, no press conference, no headlines. It was made freely available on a government website where it remains today, in plain sight, where almost no one will ever read it. The document is called Global Strategic Trends. Its purpose, according to the MoD itself, is to forecast the world out to the year 2055. Not a novel, not a thought experiment. A working planning document used by British defense officials to prepare for what they believe is coming. And what they believe is coming is, by any reasonable measure, the end of the world as we know it. I want to be careful here, because the moment you mention documents like this, the conversation tends to slide into a place I don't want to take you. This isn't about secret cabals. It isn't about lizards in tunnels. It isn't a conspiracy at all. The unsettling part, the part that should keep you up tonight, is that none of this is hidden. These documents are public. They are signed. They are footnoted. They are written by people whose names you can look up, whose offices you could walk into, whose salaries are paid by your taxes. And they describe a future that, if you read it cold, sounds like the synopsis of a film you'd never let your children watch. Let me show you what I mean. Page 42 of Global Strategic Trends discusses what the authors call human augmentation. Not as speculation, as an expected development. The document describes a near future in which a portion of the population, the wealthy, the military, the professionally ambitious, will undergo cognitive and physical enhancement through implants and pharmaceuticals. The rest of the population will not. The MoD, in its own words, anticipates that this will create a permanent biological divide between the augmented and the unaugmented. They flag it as a stability risk, not a possibility, a planning concern. That is your government telling itself on the record to prepare for a two-tier human species. Now move sideways. In 2016, the World Economic Forum, the same organization that hosts the annual Davos meeting, published a short essay on its website. It was written by a Danish politician named Ida Auken, and it was titled, In Full, Welcome to 2030. I own nothing, have no privacy, and life has never been better. The essay describes a city in the year 2030. The narrator owns no possessions, no house, no car, no appliances. Everything is rented, on demand, from a small number of platforms. Her clothes are delivered before she realizes she needs them because the algorithm knows. Her movements are tracked. Her conversations are tracked. There is, she says, no real privacy anywhere. But in exchange, the city is clean, the air is breathable, and there is no unemployment, because there is, effectively, no work. The essay was meant, allegedly, as a provocation. A piece of speculative writing to spark debate. That is the WEF's official position. But the essay was hosted on the forum's main channels, promoted in its videos, and quoted approvingly in its annual reports for years. And the phrase from its title, "You will own nothing and be happy," became one of the most circulated ideas of the last decade, mocked, memed, denied. And yet, if you read the WEF's actual published material on what it calls the Great Reset, the language softens, but the destination is the same. A shift away from ownership. A shift towards subscription. A shift towards what they call stakeholder capitalism, in which a small number of corporations, working in partnership with governments, manage the resources that were once distributed among ordinary people. You can read this. It is on their website. It has been on their website for 6 years. There is more. In 2020, the consultancy firm McKinsey published a report estimating that by 2030, between 400 million and 800 million workers worldwide would be displaced by automation. Not assisted. Displaced. The report did not say what those people would do instead. It said, and I am quoting, that significant workforce transitions would be required. The Bank of England's chief economist gave a speech the same year suggesting that 15 million jobs in the United Kingdom were at risk. Goldman Sachs, in 2023, put the global figure at 300 million. The International Monetary Fund, in 2024, said that 40% of all jobs worldwide were exposed to artificial intelligence, and that in advanced economies, the figure rose to 60%. These are not warnings from doom mongers on the internet. These are the official forecasts of the institutions that run the global economy. And the time horizon is not 50 years. It is not even 20. The numbers I just read to you describe a transformation expected to be substantially complete inside the next 10. So here is the question I keep coming back to. If you genuinely believed that within a decade, half the working population of your country would have nothing meaningful to do, what would you build, quietly, in the background, to manage it? In 2017, the World Economic Forum published a white paper on something called the Internet of Bodies. The premise is straightforward. Just as the Internet of Things connects fridges and thermostats and doorbells to the network, the Internet of Bodies connects people. Pacemakers, insulin pumps, smart contact lenses, ingestible sensors, implanted chips. The paper is genuinely interesting. It is also, in places, genuinely disturbing. It discusses at length the legal and ethical questions raised by a future in which your employer, your insurer, and your government can all read, in real time, what is happening inside your body. The paper does not recommend this future, but it assumes it. It assumes it the way you and I assume there will be weather tomorrow. In 2021, the Bank for International Settlements, the central bank of central banks based in Basel, published a report on something called central bank digital currency. A CBDC is, in essence, money issued directly by the state, in digital form, with no intermediary bank. The report is dry, technical, full of charts, but buried inside it is a paragraph that, when you find it, you do not forget. The general manager of the BIS on camera explained that with a CBDC, the central bank would have absolute control over how the currency is used. He said, and these are his words, "We will have the technology to enforce that, to enforce what you can buy, to enforce where you can spend, to enforce when your money expires." 87 countries are currently developing one. 3 have launched. The United Kingdom's pilot is scheduled for the end of this decade. I want to stop for a moment and say something clearly. I am not telling you any of this is going to happen. I am telling you that it is being planned. There is a difference, and the difference matters, because plans fail. Forecasts are wrong. Bureaucracies are slow and stupid and routinely cannot organize a meeting, let alone a civilization. The future predicted by these documents may never arrive. It may arrive in a form so unrecognizable that the documents themselves become museum pieces, studied for their strangeness. But these papers exist. They were written by serious people, in serious institutions, with serious budgets, and they describe a world in which ownership ends, work ends, privacy ends, and the relationship between the citizen and the state is rebuilt from the ground up, not in some distant century, but inside the lifetime of a child born this morning. And the strangest part, the part I cannot stop thinking about, is that almost no one has read them. They are not classified. They are not buried. They are sitting on government servers and corporate websites, indexed by Google, available to anyone with a connection and an afternoon. You could read every document I have mentioned tonight before you go to bed. You won't. Almost nobody does. That is how this works. The most disturbing things are not the ones hidden from us. The most disturbing things are the ones placed in front of us, in plain language, on official letterhead, by people who assumed, correctly, that we were too tired, too distracted, or too comfortable to look. The signal isn't lost. It's just unread. I'll leave the document links in the description. Read one, just one, and then ask yourself why nobody told you it was there.